In this lesson, we'll finish blocking in our primary poses. Now, being that we're going to have his feet, the character's feet, move all over the place, what we're going to do is actually speed up the process of him exiting the scene by using his global control instead. Okay, and we're going to see that this comes along very well. So let's go back to our outliner and we'll select the character move group node. And we're going to want to set a key here. So what we're going to want to do on frame 240, we'll go back there and we'll press, we'll basically only need to key the translate X. So we could just key that. And then by 260, we want the character to exit the scene. So let's go back to our custom layout. Go back to our shot camera, and on 260, let's have him move out of the scene here. Okay. And that would even be far enough. Okay, because remember, we're rendering with this what we see in this film gate. So here's what we have. Now the character exits the scene. Alright, great. Now, going back to our perspective, remember we're going to have the hat actually fly off. But here's a little trick. Because of the hat following the main group node that controls basically the character's global control, what we're going to do instead is actually duplicate the hat that's on his head and just use the duplicate to finish off the scene. So making sure that just the hat is selected, what we may need to do is go ahead and uncheck the or unreference his character viz layer. So we'll unreference that, select just the hat, hit the up arrow so we can get to the cap, watch him in the cap, and press Control D to duplicate that, and then Shift P to unparent it from the group. Okay, so now it's a separate piece. Okay, so going back to 260 with the cap, now there we can call this cap anim. So we know that that is going to be our animated cap, and we could even clean up its transforms. So we'll go to freeze transforms so we're working with cleaner attributes. Okay, so now that this is done on 260, let's go ahead and go back to our shot camera so we can see what's happening here. So on about 260, we're actually going to want to move the hat so that it's going to be right before the character exits. Okay, so we can see both cameras, and let's actually move this hat back to about right here at the edge, and then we'll press Shift W and Shift D to lock in its pose. Great. And of course we're going to also want to do a visibility switch between the hats. But let's work on its position first. So by 270, we're going to want the hat to move back to about the center of the scene. So we'll just move it back almost to about a value of -400 if we wanted to use a whole value because it was close enough. Okay. And we'll also, on 270, have it lowered as well. Okay, we don't want it to just move linearly. We're actually going to have an arc where it moves up, but we'll worry about that arc later. So just before it hits the floor again, we're going to want the character's hand to grab the hat. So we're actually going to be using a combination of constraints as well as animation here. So on 270, now what we want to do is go to the character's hand, and we'll use the right hand for this. Select that and bring this back. Okay, so it stretches right in. So we're really using our rig features here. And we'll have that grab the hat. Could even just go to the perspective. Grab the hat that way. Okay. And because of the fact that we're going to have the hat twist in the air before the character grabs it, what we could do is already add that twist. we'll just select one part of the hat, hit the up arrow to get to the group that contains the all of the hat pieces. We'll go to our rotate tool, and in our shot camera, we'll go to this yellow ring, okay, which allows us to rotate based off of our view, and just rotate this so that we actually flip the hat. Okay, great. So now that that has been done, what we're basically now ready to do is have the hat constrained to the character's wrist. Okay, so on 270, we'll select the wrist. We'll want to select the hats group so we could even find that in our outliner. There it is. Select the control, select the control click the group, and do a parent constraint. So it'll follow. Okay, now we don't want it to follow until we get to about 270. Okay, so on 240, we'll want to go to this blend switch. We could just make sure that just that parent constraint is selected, and we'll set that to 0. We'll key it, and then on 270 we could have it so that it's going to be turned on here. Put in a value of 1. Okay, great. So let's see what we have. Going back to our custom layout. Okay, we'll probably need to go back to the hats group and just correct its position. Okay, so right here, the reason why the hat is still in place is because we actually went to the parent constraint and adjusted its weight there. We actually want to adjust the blend parent. So we could always break connections on the keys that we set. Right click break connections, put it a value of 1 there. So it'll follow the hat. But then we'll go to the blend parent. On frame 270, let's go ahead and put in that key of 1. On frame 240, we'll set the blend parent to 0. And now the hat goes back. Alright, so we're using just a different attribute here. Alright, great. So we have our character exiting the scene. Now we need to have the hat and the arm exit the scene. So let's go back to our character viz layer and we'll check that back on to reference. Go back to our perspective, and we can just pull the arm back on frame about frame 290 to exit, because we're going to want enough hold so we can see exactly what has happened. If we just have a quick transition where the character grabs a hat and then exits with the hat, the audience may not tell what exactly has happened. So we want enough time so we can have our poses read. Okay, we go bring the arm back in and down so that it's not moving in a linear path. Great. So there we have it. Alright, well, if we wanted to now, we can go ahead and basically do a visibility switch between our hat and between our duplicated hat and the watchman's hat, so we can see the change happen. Okay, we'll go back to, we won't even need our curves here, but let's go back to our perspective camera. We'll unreference the layer, the character viz layer. You can start by selecting not the hat control, but the actual hat geometry. We'll hit up arrow to get to the watchman cap node. And on frame 240, can set the visibility to on here and the visibility to the cap. Before we get to turning the visibility off here, we'll want to have the visibility on about frame 260. So on 260 for this hat, we'll just set a key of the hat turn on, and that'll also make it easier for us to select it. Now on the same frame, we'll want to go to our main hat and turn off the visibility here. Okay, and then on frame 240, we're going to want to go to this hat, the duplicated hat, and turn off the visibility here. So what we get now as we scrub is a nice switch. And we could even see that from our shot camera. Very nice. Okay, so those are our major poses, okay, for now. And what we want to now do is spend the time working on in-betweens. But before that, we could even do a play blast to see how this all has come together for us. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is work on just that, starting off with a play blast.